Backyard Farmer is a co-production of Nebraska Public Media and Nebraska Extension. Tonight on Backyard Farmer, we'll check out how the sandhills are recovering from the spring wildfire and help you control difficult weeds with a unique method. That's all coming up next, right here on Backyard Farmer.
Hello everyone and welcome to Backyard Farmer. I'm Kim Todd, your host for the next hour of answering your gardening questions. You can get in touch with us by dialing 1-800-676-5446 and our phone volunteers will help you. If you'd rather send us a picture or email for a future show, that address is byf@unl.edu. Let us know where you live and give us as much information as you can about your gardening issue. During the week, follow Backyard Farmer on our social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Let's get to samples. Kate, we have never had this one, I don't think.
Well, I think that's good that we haven't had it before, right?
Probably.
So these might be a little hard to see, but they are in water, and I wanted to give a quick shout out to my children for leaving a bucket of water outside for who knows how long. But this is what we will eventually find in standing and still water. These are mosquito larvae. They are aquatic. Mosquitoes will lay their eggs in the water. And right now, according to the Nebraska Department of Health, we are at an above average risk of West Nile virus in Nebraska this year. So it's really important to not only wear a repellent and protect yourself, but if you have any standing water in your yard, like bird baths, or maybe you just have a random tire that's collecting water too, be sure to dump that water at least once a week. And then if you have larger areas like ponds, you can also treat that with a BT product. Just keep in mind that's different than the BT that we use on garden caterpillars.
Great and frightening.
Yes.
Okay, Jeff.
That's a great sample.
That is a great sample.
Well, I was inspired by one of our questions tonight to bring this in. So, nature can give us gifts, right? Sometimes, and this is one of nature's gifts. It gave us a little volunteer ginkgo on campus that I collected. And sometimes in your yard, you'll get little gifts from a perennial or a shrub or a tree. And for some folks, it's a gift and you'll move it and give it to a friend. And for others, it's a weed. And so it's trying to figure out for you which it is and then kind of controlling it at the right time. And we're getting close to that right time, so. And
we don't know if this one is.
We don't know if it's a boy or a girl. Either way, it'll be great, so.
Nice answer. All right, Amy, that is not pretty.
This is not pretty, but this is one of those notorious problems we have with coneflowers. Every single year, our wonderful friend Aster yellows. And if you've never seen Aster yellows, this one is actually pretty unique tonight. Typically, we get the petals look like leaves, but this one is shooting leaves and trying to shoot off little flowers right where the seeds are supposed to be coming up. So we kind of have a unique bouquet. If you look at the little one down here, this is what they typically look like with Aster yellows, where we should have petals, it looks like leaves associated with it. This is from my sister-in-law's yard. She's been pulling these out ever since she's planted them. 1 or 2 a year, always have some. It's sap transmitted, so if you touch it and you move to the next plant, that's how you're going to move it back and forth. So just slowly pull them out of your landscape and you'll get new coneflowers to fill in those spaces.
All right, and Elizabeth, that is so much fun.
It is. So this is aptly named Pumpkin on a Stick. Don't be surprised that it is an ornamental eggplant. And this was borrowed from the Backyard Farmer garden. This is full size, so we're talking about 2 feet tall, 1 foot to 2 foot tall, ornamental eggplant. While they are technically edible, palatable is a different story. The more ripe they get, the more bitter they are, so they're not really edible. But we kind of had to borrow this from the Backyard Farmer garden as kind of a nod to Gladys, who brought this originally to Backyard Farmer to share with us.
She sure did, and we had never heard of it and never seen it, and that was what Gladys did for her plant of the week. But Very beautiful and very unique.
For sure.
All right, nice job on the samples all. Let's start with questions. Let's see, Kate, you have one picture on this first one. This is from Northwest Omaha. He has cottony areas that collect around his garage door, and it reappears every spring and they clean it off. What in the world is that?
So this is most likely the cocoons and pupa of the Mimosa Webworm moth. It's kind of been a big year for Mimosa webworms, especially here in eastern Nebraska. And I would suspect you might have a honey locust or a mimosa tree either in your yard or maybe a neighbor has it, because that's what these caterpillars feed on.
Just clean them off?
Just clean them off. At this point, it looks like the moths have already exited those. So right now, just take a broom and get it down.
All right, one picture from this one. This comes to us from Shadron. She found it crawling from a birch tree, 3 inches long and fat, and then she saw another one just like it in the grass heading toward the same tree.
Well, you can consider yourself very lucky because this is a polyphemus moth caterpillar, and birch trees are one of their host plants, and oftentimes caterpillars will walk away from their host plants when they're getting ready to pupate and form a cocoon, so that might be what this one's doing.
Oh, fun. All right. This is one picture from Lincoln. What is this in her tomatoes, and what can she do to prevent it?
This one looks like it's most likely going to be tomato fruit worm. So inside that tomato, you're going to have a caterpillar that's just eating it from the inside out. If you have any infested fruit where you notice these holes, just dispose of them to kind of limit the problem. If you notice any caterpillars early on, the best thing you can do is hand pick. There are some pesticides like BT is good for caterpillars too, but usually just the hand picking will help take care of that.
All right, and one more, and this is from Brownville, and this is a teenager, and she would love to know what this spider is.
This is a pike slender jumping spider. So it doesn't look like the typical kind, but his long legs are not used for walking, it's used for courtship.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
Yeah, fun fact.
All right. Jeff, you have 3 pictures. This is from Northwest Omaha. There's a brown patch in his front yard. He was watering 30 minutes around 6 a.m. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And he said something about getting rid of all the dead stuff, and then it's starting to green up again. What do you think here?
Well, it sounds like he shifted his watering, which is helping this, but this looks like summer patch. This is the time of year that we'll see this. As things get warm and humid and our mornings are warmer and more humid, you'll start, start seeing this. So, but raising his deck, watering at the right time, letting things dry out between waterings is really important with our lawn funguses so that we're not keeping things wet. So.
All right.
Doing the right thing.
And the fun part about our questions is we're never quite sure who's going to get it. So one picture on this one, this is, he planted turf about 3 weeks ago. It grew fast and lush, and then things started dying, 50% dead. It is a fescue blend. He's treated with GrubX, triple action fertilizer, weed killer. He's reseeding with Scott's Rapid Grass tall fescue. He waters 3 to 4 times daily. What puzzles me in him is it didn't affect the best growth first. What's going on here?
Well, I'm kind of guessing this is melting out or a leaf spot, just because it's a new seeding, and again he's watering so much. So back off on the watering. Let's not over fertilize right now, especially with the new seeding and with our weather conditions. So don't get carried away with the fertilizer. Water once a day, usually in the mornings, is probably best for something like that, and see how things move that way.
All right. Amy's shaking her head in agreement.
In agreement, yes.
Yay.
Okay, 3 pictures on this one, Jeff. This is from York. Grass dying in the backyard. She gave us a lot of great information here.
Right.
This is a a non-fruit bearing pear, so ornamental pear.
Sure.
She's talking about fertilizing. She has a lab, but this is not where he does his business. She's seeded, she's watered, she roughed it up with a thatch rake. No luck.
Yeah.
What do you think here?
Well, I think a couple things. With the tree, let's get some mulch around the tree. That'll help that a little bit there. You know, to me, this almost seemed like a rain shadow. And those pairs could be pretty dense, and they're using a lot of the moisture. And if you're not watering heavily, or I just said don't water heavily, but if you're not watering consistently, you may see your turf kind of decline. And I see that a lot on campus in certain areas where we may water one side, or if we don't have irrigation in place and the water is not reaching the other side of the tree, you'll start seeing that other side, that rain shadow side, kind of decline while the front side is doing well. So that's what I'm kind of leaning on this. So it may be something that if you kind of look at enhancing your watering on that side of the tree, you may see that turf kind of come back, or if you're reseeding, you'll see it do better.
Great. All right, Amy, you have 5 pictures on this one, and then a 6th. It's a little bit of a different issue. This is 2 weeks of vacation and hibiscus in the ground, looking like this, and we have a number of pictures that show some look good, some look terrible, and the buds look strange, and there's what is going on here?
There are multiple things going on. So the picture on the screen right now, you can see the leaves are curled, and I think the next picture will also show it right there, where we have a lot of cupping of those leaves. This is ideal picturesque herbicide injury drift, and when we hit July, it was warm, and those products are going to move. And Jeff has said it multiple times since end of June, beginning of July, don't spray. And so it looks like we have some herbicide injury that impacted it. Now, the picture we have right now, once again, we see some of that herbicide injury, but we see the buds themselves are turning brown. Some of the herbicide products can cause that because it's going to kill the terminal bud, but I'm leaning toward more here that you probably are dealing with some botrytis blight that we commonly see in peonies and not see in hibiscus, but depending on where you're at in July, or where this viewer was at, I don't remember where they said they were from, Kim.
Decatur.
You might have hit those rains just right and allow that botrytis blight to move in. Once again, we're not going to treat it typically. We're just going to do a lot of cleaning. The other trick with these hibiscus, you were getting some rains. We are still getting some really heavy rains. Make sure we're pulling that mulch back. Hibiscus don't like to be wet.
All right, I think you have one more picture from him, and this is a container plant issue. Same soil,
same soils. I think we're looking at a herbicide issue, and also just maybe not the right size of pot for the plants that we're dealing with.
All right, 2 pictures from Hastings, Amy. 2 different succulents, what's causing the circles and what's causing the brown.
So the circles that you're seeing right here really looks like Sunscald. So where the water droplet was at, and then the sun just burned the leaves, and that will cause that the tissue to fall out. Also with this plant, it's in a very small container, so I'm going to be concerned about not getting enough water for that succulent to work its way through this life cycle. The next picture, as we can see, we got that tip browning. Once again, I'm going to lean toward potentially Sunscald, but this could be an underwatering or an overwatering situation depending on that container and the amount of water that you have been receiving. So everything related to this is all environmental.
All right, thanks, Amy. 3 pictures from Gretna. This is 2 wet areas around pop-up drains in the backyard. I know Scott gave some recommendations for perennials, but she'd like trees and shrubs.
So when we're talking trees and wet sites, the one that comes to mind is going to be bald cypress, but we're not talking any bald cypress because that site will not handle a large mature bald one. We're going to have to do an upright form in that location. They're going to be more narrow. They're going to provide that wet loving environment. If we're going into the shrubs route, we could go with Itea, Virginia sweetspire, or the one that is my favorite is going to be the button bush. And again, if you get straight species, it's going to be awfully large. So we're going to try something a little bit smaller like Sugar Shack or a smaller cultivar for that site. And then they're going to handle that wet environment really well.
And she'll love the butterflies.
Yes, the butterflies in the late summer, early autumn are just drawn to that button bush.
Wonderful. All right, 3 pictures from Omaha. This is a 40-year-old red maple, top of a steep slope. Soil's eroding, tree seems healthy. She wants to keep the tree healthy, and then she's got hostas that are showing some burn, fully shaded. Is this environment, should you do here?
If the soil will stay and it's at the top of a slope, we can put up to 2 inches on those roots that are up near the soil surface. If, however, it's not going to stay, we might try one of those creeping, low-growing ground covers like periwinkle or vinca in that area to kind of hold that soil down. The hostas are a good step, but if we really want to hold that soil, we're going to need more roots to hold that down.
All right, and 2 from Elkhorn. This is tomatillo plants, some type of insect or environmental, he says. And we had a tomatillo earlier with things eating it, but this is not that.
That is not being eaten by anything. That is environmental. So it's either going to be chlorosis, it can be magnesium, it can be related to pH, or depending on how much water, it could be overwatering as well. So unfortunately right now, there's not going to be a whole lot we can do. If you wanted to do a foliar iron treatment just to see if that would help, you could. I don't know if you're able to do that on edibles, so that kind of tosses that out. But it is one of those where it's environmental, so we'll figure out with a soil test kind of where we're at and then how we need to amend from there.
All right, thank you, Elizabeth. Well, during the year, we've given you some tips on being safe and avoiding damage from fires. A devastating wildfire destroyed thousands of acres of sandhill prairie and rangeland. Thankfully, Mother Nature knows how to bring back our native prairie plants. Extension educator Gary Stone tells us how the sandhills are recovering.
So from mid to late March, we had what we call the Morrow Fire, predominantly in Garden County. It covered over 640,000 acres. It was pretty bad. Burned a lot of the prairie grass to where nothing was left but just the sand hills. So the damage was pretty extensive. Some fences were lost, some water sources were covered. So yes, and some livestock was lost also. So the recovery has already started. They've had some fairly decent rains in spite of the drought that we've had. The grass is starting to come back very well. Things are starting to green up. The native plants are showing a real good job of being able to bounce back with such a fire that took place. From where I see it, this is something that Mother Nature has to do for us. The sandhills are such a sensitive area. They are sandhills for that reason. It's pure sand. So the native grasses, forbs, and everything just need time to come back, get some decent moisture, and they should spring back. And hopefully this time next year, things will bounce back, look like they used to be. In places, the rain, if it's been, say, a down gully washer, yes, it has washed, but I've traveled through there a couple of times after the rains, and I don't see that much evidence of it washing. So things are bouncing back pretty good. It's just good to see the native grasses come back, see the wildflowers, see the other plants pop back, and you know, if you just saw it after the fire, you would have thought nothing's ever going to come back, but things look really nice, really green.
It will take a few seasons for a full recovery, but it's fantastic to see our native sandhills returning to green and healthy environments. On to questions. So let's see, 2 for you. This comes to us from La Vista. Milkweed is covered with ants, aphids, 1 ladybug, and what she thought was a monarch butterfly eggs. So have the insects eaten the eggs, or are they eggs? And you can see one bitty little white one right on the edge.
I really scoured this picture and I didn't see the white one, but it's entirely possible. We still see eggs this time of year, and milkweed is their own little ecosystem. It could also be an aphid mummy too. We've seen a lot of aphid mummies, but really cool. Just let that ecosystem do its thing.
All right. 1 picture, Kate, on this one. So this is, oh my goodness, this is ghastly. And he said it's pretty much a crapshoot whether his cucumber family plants will survive to harvest. He lost. He doesn't use pesticides. You can see the problem because he's got this between the bugs and the stem rot. Maybe better luck next year, but how can people control these and what are they?
Yeah, so there's a couple things going on. The stem rot is probably a squash vine borer. And then just to add on to that, you have squash bugs, and quite a lot of them. There are pesticide-free ways to do it, but I think the most important thing is just scout early. When it's June and these are coming up, check the undersides of the leaves for eggs and squish all of them that you could find. Other prevention, squash vine borer, you can wrap that stem in aluminum foil. I've seen Jody take a shop vac and just vacuum up the squash bugs. So there's a lot of different things you can use a wooden board and trap them. And then in addition to that, fall cleanup is also going to be really important to help prevent it for next year as well.
Okay, your next two pictures come to us from Glenwood, Iowa. Coneflowers and now her sneezeweed dying from the ground up.
This one's a tough one. I don't necessarily think the problem is insect related. That second photo, they had a question about it. That's a roly-poly, and I think they're just soil dwellers. That's probably just there incidentally. I don't really have a solution for you, but this one I would definitely encourage, like maybe some more pictures or sending a sample in so we can kind of help get to the bottom of it.
All right, and one picture from Omaha. Burning bush, spider mites.
Burning bush and spider mites go hand in hand. It's been hot and dry. Make sure the plant is healthy and irrigated. Once again, hose that really strong jet spray. You can use things like insecticidal soap. Just be careful using those on hot days as well.
Great, thanks, Kate. All right, Jeff, two from Carney.
Okay.
So she says this grass has been showing up in yards the last several years, green transitions, vibrant and aggressive. And he shows us pictures of what has happened further away.
Okay.
Which is obviously the killing of it, but he doesn't want to do that.
Okay.
So
He
what
wants
is...
to just eliminate it, but without using a herbicide.
Right.
Yeah, so this is, they've used tenacity or mesotrione on this.
Right.
And you can see here, I mean, meso works pretty well on crabgrass, but it's going to take multiple applications. You can see there's still quite a bit of green in there. So that's, that's what makes crabgrass tough. I think really the trick with it is multiple applications of pre-emergent herbicides starting very early now, no longer May 5th. It's now end of March, something like that. Again in May, maybe again in July. And even this year, for a lot of folks, they've probably tried to do that and it still failed. Our weather conditions, whatever, so it's not bulletproof. Some years it works well, other years like this, you do see a lot of crabgrass out there in lawns that normally are really nice. So just be patient, stay with it. Keep the lawn mowed, don't let it produce any seed. That's your best trick right now.
All right, and then you have two pictures from the next viewer, and she guessed that this is yellow nut sedge, and she treated with sedgehammer and sedge ender, which stunted it, but this isn't nut sedge.
You give it a cold and it didn't really do anything yet. This is just what I talked about before, is they have a lovely lawn and the crabgrass is just kind of taking over in certain spots. So just be patient. We'll have freezing weather before you know it, and then it'll turn brown. So it'll be snowing before you know it. It's Nebraska.
All right, 4 pictures on this one, Jeff, from Omaha. What is this? She says it's a warm season plant, aggressively stoloniferous, rhizomes thick and deep as 6 inches.
Wow, so this is Bermuda grass. So this is fun. I love Bermuda grass. It's one of my favorite grasses. So it's really hard to get rid of. So that's there's not a lot of herbicides out there that are selected for Bermuda grass. So you can kind of take a look at your local nursery and see what they have and what they might recommend, and then, but the other part would be just pulling it and doing all the right things and maintaining your lawn. That's the other way. If you kind of help your cool season grasses do well, that'll help them fend off the Bermuda grass.
All right, excuse me, thanks, Jeff. 2 pictures, Amy. Is this a fungal disease or a watering issue on this Royal Star Magnolia? If fungal, does it need to be treated? It's a young tree. You can see the tree, and then I think some leaf issues on the next picture.
So on the next picture, you can see the browning on the leaf tips. This is 100% environmental, lack of water. And with it being a young tree, once again, we're going to remind you, we have to provide supplemental watering besides what you water the grass, especially a young tree that doesn't have its root base. And when we hit that really 100-degree time, I'm assuming that's when the symptoms started to show up because it just didn't have enough water.
Okay, 3 pictures from Sioux City. She has a hydrangea. She says pest issue. Looks pretty good, but the leaves have some holes. It's the dark colored spot on the top and the bottom that she's kind of concerned about. And she did use neem on it about once a week.
Okay. So the dark spots you're seeing is a common fungal disease we'll see in this plant species. This is Cercospora leaf spot. Management for this is really good sanitation in the fall because it's going to overwinter in that debris. Typically, I don't recommend a fungicide application because it doesn't hurt the plant. It gives it a little bit of character.
All right. 2 pictures on this one. This is a giant arborvitae. And she's showing us the picture of the green giant, and then I think we have a little bit of a closer up picture. She thinks it's rust.
It's 100% a giant. It's not disease related. We're gonna go back to that wonderful friend, environmental damage. Arborvitaes are so prone to winter damage and drought. And guess what? You've had both of them this year. So it's just a wait and see. Anything that doesn't recover, you're gonna just cut out.
All right, thanks, Amy. 3 pictures, Elizabeth from Juniata, 2-year-old prairie gold aspen, spider mites, brown spots, didn't do much pruning, which is great, treated, and now they're wondering, should they prune it? It's also got some really good new big giant leaves on the top.
It does. I believe they said it had been in ground 2 years.
Right.
So we're at that time frame where if they wanted to prune, they could. When it comes to pruning trees, we can either prune leaf on or we prune leaf off. We don't want to prune in the spring or in the fall. I like pruning when it's dormant so you can see branching structures, angles, things along those lines. Ideally, we want it to be 1/3 trunk to 2/3 canopy and not remove more than 1/3 of the leaf area at any one point in time. So you got to kind of do some math to figure out how much to take off. But if they wanted to prune it, they could. In terms of how high up, those branches are always going to be at that height. So if they're going to knock you off the lawnmower, go ahead and prune those lower branches off so you can mow underneath there.
All right, 2 pictures on this one. This is a Lincoln viewer. Redbud has begun looking strange, planted in 1999. What do we think on this one?
Age, unfortunately. It's been a good run. Any of those that are dead, we can go ahead and prune out those dead branches until we get to the point where we need to make that determination on whether or not we're happy with what's left of the tree once we remove all those dead branches.
All right, and 2 from Pleasanton. And this is a 6-foot blue spruce. Tips are pinkish and are drying up. I gave it to you instead of one of them or them, not Jeff.
Right.
So you could talk about it.
Yep. So when it comes to especially our spruce trees, they are really susceptible if they're newly planted to, like Amy mentioned, drought stress, winter desiccation, things along those lines. And we also need to take a look at what we're using for weed control in that area to make sure we're not getting it on the spruce as well.
All right. Thank you, Elizabeth. Our garden is looking like late summer with some plants fading, others blooming, and vegetables nearing full harvest. Here's Terry with our weekly update from the Backyard Farmer Garden.
This week we want to thank all of you that have visited the garden during East Campus Discovery Days. And we want to remind you that just because East Campus Discovery Days is done for the 2026 season, our garden is still open and you are more than welcome to come visit us at any time. We're open 24/7, 365, but if you really want to come and visit us, we are always here on Saturday mornings with Master Gardeners, here to help answer all of your questions. You're able to usually find a little bit of extra parking at some of the meters around the garden, and you're able to walk through, and don't forget, you can always go and get that ice cream right after you're done visiting us. And we're able to answer all of your questions. So come visit us. Even though East Campus Discovery Days are done, we are still here and we'll be here for the rest of the season. So stop by the Backyard Farmer Garden this week to check us out.
This week's social media post comes from Lori of Lincoln. She has a Bennett Scotch pine showing distress. While they were gone, her place got more than 5 inches of rain. The tree looked fine when they got back, but this week she noticed yellowing from the inside out. 2 others like it are fine. So Elizabeth, Lori wants to know, is this water, is this heat, is this something?
Combination of things. We'll lump it underneath the environmental category. We have 5 inches of rain. We have rock underneath there. We might have some drainage issues that we can't see. So we're going to chalk it up to that environmental category.
And ideally, she would show us a picture of the whole plant with its surrounding plants, and then we could give her a little more information. But in the meantime, 5 inches of rain on a pine and poor drainage, bad idea.
Yep, we just got to wait and kind of see. And if she wants to send us a full picture, that would be better.
Excellent. Thank you, Elizabeth. Want to be our social media question of the week? Just add your question and photos in the comments of one of our Facebook posts. And follow Lori's example. She did give us great photos and information. Well, it's time for the plant of the week, and we're featuring 2 garden favorites. One brings graceful texture and elegant foliage to shady spots. The other lights up the landscape with bright golden blooms. These plants of the week provide great landscapes and are all about contrast.
We are in Lincoln today with our plants of the week. Today we have our all gold Japanese forest grass as our first one. This one is a nice pop of color. It gives us that chartreuse lime green color with the cascading texture that really adds some unique interest to any garden. It stays about this 1 to 2 feet tall in a nice mounded clump. With that being said, I would only use this Japanese forest grass in specific situations because it can be picky about the conditions that it'll tolerate. It thrives with regular watering and partial shade. Too much afternoon sun can kind of scorch the leaves, as it's starting to do on this one now. And if you get too much shade, it'll dull that lime green color and give you a darker green. So you really want to make sure you put this plant in the right spot to give it the full effect. And while we're here, how could I not mention these vibrant black-eyed Susans? These are a native perennial. These are blooming all around town right now, and they really provide that vibrant wow factor with these flowers that last from June to October. This is Rudbeckia fulgida. It's a native perennial and really a personal favorite with these dense flowering clumps. If you're looking for a specific aesthetic, there's also the American Gold Rush variety that's kind of a more rounded clump and gives you that more disease resistance while keeping the golden Nebraska summer look. Now let's head over to Gannon for the weather.
Hey, good evening, everyone. I think the best word to describe these next few days is soggy. Looking at the precipitation forecast, this is one of our better ones so far this year. Some of this has already fallen, but there's still a good amount expected this weekend, with the highest amounts likely in the southwestern and northeastern corners of the state. Some localized flooding could occur, particularly in the areas that receive multiple rounds of rain. If the precipitation forecast does pan out, I expect some changes to the drought monitor in the coming weeks. Since we last talked about it, there's been some slight improvements, predominantly east and North Platte. The worst conditions are still found out by Sydney, so hopefully they get some good moisture from these storms. And that's your weekly weather forecast. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Ian. All right, we have one picture from Norfolk. Several of these on her jelly feeders. Good or bad?
These are cicada killer wasps, just having a snack. Not an aggressive species, especially when they're away from their nest. So I would say good.
All right, one picture on this one. What is this scary looking insect on the next one?
This is one of those cool insects I was talking about earlier. This is a giant Ichneumon wasp. And if you look at this picture closely, it looks like it has a super long tail. That's actually an ovipositor that drills into the wood all the way down to get to a horntail wasp larvae.
Okay.
So, just fun fact. But that being said, if you have horntail wasps in that and it's your tree, it's either dead or going. So have it looked at.
All right. One picture from Omaha. Just wondering if these are ladybug or tussock moth eggs.
It depends on what the plant is, but it's not tussock moth eggs. To me, it does look like ladybugs, but I'd probably need a little bit of a closer look.
All right. And from Lincoln, these eggs were deposited on her front storm door. What are these?
Beautiful pink. This is some type of stink bug eggs. So not the best, most wanted answer, but. Yeah.
And one more picture. What is this?
This is a katydid or an angel wing katydid. Yeah.
Beautiful. Lots of those right now. Okay, Jeff, 2 pictures from Commerce City, Colorado for you. How to get rid of these weeds in his backyard. He's pulled, but they seem to return. Is there something he can use?
There is. Well, this first one is just a cheeseweed, I think, the mallow. And I like cheeseweed, though. It does sound kind of fun. And then they have like a purslane sort of plant. It's kind of lobed purslane. I know I took a close look at it and really couldn't come up with much more than that. But for both of these, a 3-way herbicide would take care of these. Again, making sure it's at the right time and we're not above 85 degrees.
All right. 1 picture, Jeff, from rural Adams County. Didn't weed for a couple of weeks, and then this has happened everywhere. She's tried Preen Extended. What is this?
It's spotted spurge. So it's a euphorbia, and so you're going to want to wear gloves when pulling this because it can cause some skin problems. And they produce a bazillion seeds. So that's the other problem with these. So I would pull them, and then you're going to want to do some pre-emerging here in that area.
All right. 2 pictures from Seward. Can you please identify this plant in a tree line?
Oh, that is the white Avens. It's a guium, so it's a native plant. It's a wildflower, but like some wildflowers, you may not want it. It's up to you. If you're a wildflower enthusiast, you might get a bunch of these if you let this go to seed.
Okay, and 1 from Wayne. He's not sure if he planted this, but it came up in a pot.
Oh, well, lucky him. Well, it's another kind of wildflower sort of thing. So that's a Pennsylvania smartweed. So again, another thing that produces lots of seed. It's native, so it's up to you.
All right, excellent. Amy, 3 pictures from Bellevue, and this is a maple, hybrid autumn maple, autumn blaze, probably 9 years old, 30 by 15. We know we have some insect issues going on a couple of these, and then we have a 3rd picture that's stranger.
So I'll address the first 2, even though I'm not the entomologist. The first picture, there's a lot of stippling, a lot of yellowing. I did get some advice from the entomologist. This is thrip damage, sucking, piercing mouth parts. That's why we get the stippling. The picture that we see here is gulls. And then the last picture that we're going to see here, this is anthracnose. Nothing of major concern, just really good sanitation in the fall. And the other thing I will tell the viewer, they said they were pruning. Listen to what Elizabeth said in the last round regarding pruning timing of our deciduous trees.
Thank you, Amy. 4 pictures from Seward. This is a beautiful elm, giant in size, leaves coated with this dark substance. It doesn't rub off. What happened? Is it okay? It's not sticky.
There's nothing wrong with the tree. This is sooty mold. This occurs after you've had piercing, sucking mouth part insects, leaving their honeydew, and this is saprophytic fungi.
Wonderful. All right. Omaha, 1 picture. This yew has declined quite a bit, still shows some new growth, large areas of foliage. What do you think here?
You can try pruning up that area, but it's going to look really, really rough. I think it is time to explore new options in your landscape.
Right, that might be a canker or some weird thing. Okay, Elizabeth, 4 pictures from Bellevue. Huge oak, it's a burr, they think it's 200 years old, beautiful, but they're seeing some issues with this at the base and wondering how they can keep it alive. And they do think this is probably signs of internal decay. Is there anything they can do about it?
So unfortunately, there's not going to be a lot that we can do in terms of the fungus. We need to make sure we get that fungus identified. So if we're able to, get a sample into Kyle or a picture to Kyle to get that identified to make sure we're not dealing with a slime mold, that's going to be key. Main thing is to keep that tree well watered. We've got a restricted root zone with the driveway on the one side. We avoid fertilization, and all we can really do is water, watch, and wait. If the leaves are smaller than normal, they drop off earlier than normal, that's our indication that tree is really declining. If we're seeing that fungus up on the trunk, again, that's a really good indication that we have some internal rot, which bur oak are not really prone to. So just continue to watch.
All right, 2 pictures from south of Decatur. So this is tamarack, so a larch, the larch. You got this one because he knows it's Japanese beetle damage, but he wants to know whether we think it will survive.
The main thing is to keep it well watered towards the end of the year. It's really cool with larch because they drop their needles. And so the good news is it's going to re-leaf out again next year. So it's going to have an opportunity to put new foliage on. It won't do that this fall. It's too late. So it should survive next year.
All right, great. Well, you may have persistent weeds in your landscape beds that seem impossible to treat. Jeff shows us a unique way to get rid of them.
Frequently on this show, you'll hear Terry or I, or maybe one of the other panelists, make a comment about the glove of death, the nefarious glove of death. And so I'm sure some of you have wondered just what is the glove of death? So I thought today we'd talk a little bit about that. Really what it is it's a method to apply a herbicide to a weed in a sensitive area. So someplace where you have other perennials or shrubs or a plant that you care about and you want to carefully apply a herbicide to a weed in that area without damaging any of the other plants. So what we do, first of all, what you want to do is make sure you have a latex or nitrile glove. This is nitrile, it's non-reactive, and if you have a latex sensitive, this won't bother your skin. Get one of these. You can get some sort of fabric cotton glove, an old sock, something like that. Put that over the top like this here. So you'll have these two things. It's really important if you have some safety glasses, some eye protection, make sure you wear that because you never know between the pesticide and sticking your head into some plants, you may get poked in the eye, so it's always a good idea. I wear these all the time and this way I don't have to worry about getting poked in the eye. And then you have your pesticide, your herbicide, usually it's a non-selective. If you have to mix it yourself, make sure you look at the label, mix it according to the label. It's handy with all the ready-to-use products out there. It's already in a squirt can. You carefully apply that to your hand. Make sure that you're not dripping on anything that you're worried about. So apply that carefully, and then you wipe that on the plant. And you just kind of keep going through that process as you go through your garden to do that. So this is really effective for things like viney milkweed, bindweed, those sorts of kind of viney weeds in particular. This works really well.
This simple method is effective to get those weeds out of your mulch while protecting those plants you want. All right, let's see, Kate. We had this kind of answered without the picture once, but he found this grasshopper shell. So do they shed their outer skin or did a parasitic wasp or somebody get him?
This is from shedding, so this is the exuvium or exoskeleton, and insects will do that until they become adults.
And if a predator had gotten one, would it look the same?
Not necessarily a predator, but sometimes the parasitoid wasps will make them look floppy, like if you look at caterpillars, but I'm not so sure about grasshoppers, but sometimes, yeah.
All right, one picture here, she found this insect. She thinks it's a burying beetle, and she said, weirdly, it was at an old cemetery.
Ooh, that's kind of creepy. They're absolutely right. It is a type of burying beetle. This is the margin sexton beetle, and they're called burying beetles because they find dead animal carcasses, and they will bury it to feed their young. So associated with dead things.
In a cemetery.
In a cemetery, perfect place for it.
Okay, so then you have one picture here from Lincoln, and who is this beautiful creature?
Ooh, this is a green darner dragonfly. This is one of the largest species that we get here, and they're this brilliant green color, and they help take care of our mosquito problems.
Great, and one more, and what type of dragonfly is this? Southeast Nebraska.
This is also a green darner.
Same thing, a lot of them around. Okay, Jeff, two pictures. This is Red Willow County. What is this that has taken up a spot in her hosta?
Well, it looks like we have a little black walnut seedling. So, so it's interesting, the squirrel that planted that walnut knew that hostas are great for walnuts. They're good partners. So, they were doing you a favor, I guess. That's one way to look at it. And if you don't like it, then I would get a sharp spade and dig it up.
All right. One picture here. This is established fescue yellow. Square area that is green is where a garden was. He did fertilize with a 2104.
It sounds like recently he had done that.
Right.
And it's probably a couple things. One, they have the new seeding area is darker green than the older area. So again, if you've fertilized it and, done some soil amendments, so you've kind of improved that part. But I would say continue to fertilize, even things out, and you'll probably be fine.
All right, and from Elkhorn, one picture, kind of the same issue, I think, don't we have here, Jeff?
Yeah,
probably.
I would say the same thing. It may be a fertilizer miss or something like that, but.
Okay, two pictures here. This is a lawn type that has invaded her grass, lies in all directions. What do you think this is?
Looks like we have nimble will, so a warm season, so she can pull it and kind of stick with that. I know she didn't want to use herbicide, so.
Right, all right. Amy, one picture from Auburn, and this one is a dirt floor basement, and she found these fungi growing in the floor of her dirt floor basement. What are they and how does she get rid of them?
It's actually a really cool find. This is white jelly fungus. It's a saprophytic. It feeds off of decaying wood. So I would assume there's a root or something underneath there. Nothing to worry about. You can just pick them up, but really cool find.
In the basement.
In the basement.
Okay, from North Platte, 3 pictures, unexpected and scary shrooms in the bottom of her large garden container. She thinks they're killer angels and they're not supposed to grow. Can we confirm?
It isn't, and I actually brought one with me. These are parasol fungi, and as you can see, they can get very large, and they're a parasol because you can cover yourself and protect yourself from the rain, or the fairies use them to protect themselves from the rain.
All right, fun. And one picture, and all she said is, what are these?
Another really cool find. These are Boltus mushrooms, very bright and colorful, and we'll find them in the garden and in wooded areas in several places across Nebraska. Very cool find.
Very cool find. All right. 2 from Omaha for you, Elizabeth. So what is happening to her sedum? She did plant it last fall, gets the proper care, and she wonders if it's critters that smashed it or something else going on. I think the next picture shows.
We can't blame the critters this time. It is too much water. So when these sedums get too much water, they're going to lodge or they're going to flop open. So unfortunately, that's the way they're going to stay this year. Nothing we can really do. So hopefully next year we don't get quite as much moisture on there and they should stand upright. If not, you can do supports to help them stand.
And they don't like mulch, which holds
holds
water.
all the moisture and everything like that. So.
Okay, and one picture also from Omaha. This is a sentimental blue balloon flower. It grew way too tall. She knows it needs to be divided. Can she cut it back now despite the warm temperatures?
No, we do not want to cut it back right now. That can cause advantageous growth. That's not going to harden off for winter. So your best bet is just to wait. And then when you go to move it, you can cut it back at that time.
All right, and 2 pictures from Hastings. What are these on her plant? And does she need to worry about it?
No need to worry. Those are aerial roots that's trying to grasp onto something. Winter creeper euonymus is trying to find something to hold on to.
All right, so don't stand still. It'll grab your leg. And unfortunately, that is all the time we have for this week's Backyard Farmer. Thank you so much to everyone who submitted a question and to our panel for another great show. Helping us on the phones tonight were Carol Rustad, Linda Helton, and Nebraska Extension Educator Terry James. Next time on Backyard Farmer, we'll give you some tips on keeping gardens weed-free. So good night, good gardening, and we'll see you all next week right here on Backyard Farmer.